Graphics. Who doesn't love graphics? While there are some that are flat out incredible, others are just pure and utter garbage.
Garbage! And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion.
For years, I've watched tons of NASCAR races and been amazed of how far graphics have come. From the simple days of CBS Sports and ABC Wide World of Sports, to the over-the-top information ESPN provided during the Speed World era. And then there's some absurd, cluttered, and of course, laziness. Either way, graphics are an essential part of a NASCAR coverage. In an era where new and original content are hard to come by these days, it's about time NASCAR graphics to strap on and be critiqued. And it'll be right here on Auto Rockin' Racing 94. Oh look, a video that isn't some weekly podcast that only 30 or 40 people care to watch. Yes, as I said in December, the goal is to do one episode every 3 months to make sure I can deliver these episodes on a consistent basis. You probably saw the length of the video, and knowing how much details I'm going to explain in this episode, I've decided to split it into 2 parts, with this video focusing on the 80s, the first 2 Homestead races, and the first main run from 2001 to 2006. So without further ado, no more delays and expectations, it's time to get down to it with episode 6 of the NASCAR television graphics series. NBC Sports, the epitome of what motorsports broadcast should be. Quality coverage, quality commentators, and quality care on what they cover. Okay, there's been times fans were upset over NBC Sports Gold. Looking at you, IndyCar and Supercross fans. I'm with you as well, especially the international folks. But let's be honest, they're doing a far better job than Fox and ESPN has done in this decade. And yes, check this out, Rutledge Wood may not be for everybody, but this isn't about what's right and wrong with their production. We're talking about graphics. In that department, they've been hit or miss in each of their runs, 4 of them to be exact. Well, 5 if you count the Homestead race from 1999 and 2000 different. Here's the breakdown. Stage 1 will consist of the 2 separate runs from 1979 to 1985. Stage 2 is all about the 1999 and 2000 Homestead races with some additional kart and IMSA nuggets because why the hell not? Stage 3 is arguably the best run of the network, the first main run from 01 to 06 with stuff I didn't cover on the TNT episode. Finally, the current run since 2015 and a brief thought on the IndyCar graphics of 2019. Therefore, it warrants a 4th stage. It's time to bring on the graphical action with NBC NASCAR. Green flag is in the air, and the latest installment of the television graphics series is underway. Remember the time the NBC logo looked drastically different? Pepperidge Farm remembers. No one cares how a logo looked on network television. But what people did care about was more national exposure. And in 1979, CBS, MRN, yes, they had telecasts, and no, it's not enough to warrant an episode for this series. And last but not least, ABC Wide World of Sports weren't the only TV providers, as NBC would host races at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Talladega Super Speedway, and Pocono Raceway. Which leads me to say this, why is it 2 separate runs? Well,
back in '82, I used to be able to throw a pigskin a quarter mile.
Okay, NBC didn't air any NASCAR races in 1982 and came back the following year. That's why it's 2 separate runs.
What the heck are you doing?
Carry on. Since the only footage of the 1979 National 500 at Charlotte isn't the NBC Sports World broadcast, let's jump into 1980. Jeez, when I get to CBS, expect not to be so subtle on certain graphics. You've been warned. Let's get to this starting grid graphic. Starts off with showing the door number before 2 graphics pop up. A driver portrait, and that exact number without any outlines. So late 70s and early 80s. The main colors were blue and yellow with the track logo present. Like TBS, they didn't call it by its true name. Instead of National 500, it's Grand National 500. Super simple text and details. No, I won't discuss the cliche background music. But hey, it's Paul Page covering NASCAR. Whoa! One showing a driver is name in yellow text with the bottom saying driver/car. Nah. I would just do a car number hyphen driver name with some relevant factoid on the bottom. Makes it more detailed than just some bare minimal. Well, to be fair, it's different, but it doesn't mean I'm crazy about it. When showing some of the grid, the SMI logo is on the left, driver portrait on the right. On the bottom is the driver statement script text font, which matches the paint scheme alongside the door number. This is a clean grid format, but then you can see many parts with a hard-to-read dark blue text. Problem is, there's no row number or starting position number. My Paul page has that taken care of, so no worries. As for the rest of the grid, just the car numbers with last names, and again, no row number. This is okay since it's just a short highlight reel, but still. When the flagman waves the green flag, there is an outline box with the right flag color. Nice touch for a 1980 Winston Cup race. Okay, my gripe is the number having different colors. I'd imagine it could be a pain in the ass doing it for major drivers. Do away with it if you ask me. The rest is typical simplicity for TV graphics at the time. It's a full 360 instead of heading towards the right. Hey look, Gary Gerald doing NASCAR as well. Oh, like the driver info with Buddy Baker, the same applied with crew chiefs. Meh, times 2. Main driver text is a white number with the driver text in yellow. Now for me, all caps or lowercase. Give me all caps any day of the week. It has an edge. The top 5 standings should honestly show the car number first, not the driver for a clean look. To me, it's more cluttered that way. At least it's all caps here. Same feelings apply for the top 3 graphics. What kind of filth is that? Looks like shit. Or it's the video. Either way, poorly executed. There's some familiar entity that they like to say this search. Even worse, this second camera box looks bigger. On the top left, NBC wants to remind you that Dale is the winner. Flash. Rather than a number text, the scoreboard tells you all on what the number the driver raced with the typewriter effect. Whatever. A year later, a brand new look for the sports world, taking place at some notable rider's least favorite track, Pocono. Hey look, a land speed machine. I didn't know the sport had new rides. Yeah, the cars were downsized, but not like that. Who am I kidding? All caps. Driver info is accompanied by a ride line that goes across the screen. All caps with the name in yellow with actual stats on the bottom. Definite upgrade. How about the starting grid? Much better. There we go. Ugh. Script font on the driver name. Gone are the door numbers, but hello, row numbers. Unlike TBS, their grids are clean without all of those color combos. What the fuck, man? What was it with getting Labonte wrong? There's no capital B. Same thing when they type Sterling without a G. Do they even ask how it's properly spelled? Guess not. What was worse that in 1980 it was correct. CBS and ESPN were also victims of this method. Only the first 5 rows were shown, but this too was a huge upgrade. Full names. Not sure if this summer season is part of the Sports World tagline for their other sportscasts, but it reminds me of TNT's summer series for some reason. No more green outline box, it's like everything else. Yellow. Rather than having the first letter of a driver's first name, it's just the last name when showing a 2-car battle graphic. Names are in lowercase instead of all caps. Here it's fine to make it super obvious, but still won't change the fact that I'm not crazy about that style. There you can see a mediocre graphic and foggy focus shot. I think it's lame and a waste of a segment in a tight highlight reel. Look at the gimmicky graphic. Gouge me with a fork. Ugh. No. Give me the top 5, not 4. But here's the segue graphic that I don't like. To me, if it's 4, it's kind of lousy. 3, 5, or 10 only. Unless it's Formula 1, then 6 is good by me. Oh look, green flag, white flag situation. How do I know? Bottom left screen in a big ass white flag graphic with the text stating the obvious. I would have gone with final lap like CBS did. By the way, this is the OG 2005 Florida Dodge Dealers 250. Don't know what I mean? Here's the clip.
Here goes Jimmy Spencer. The crew is back here, and everyone says, well, I can't believe it.
Here's the Pocono clip. The supposed race-winning car was pushed out of victory lane once scorings were adjusted. You can tell this is super tape when it's narrated, and here's what I never really liked about 70s and 80s telecasts. The overlays of 2 shots. Cheap as fuck. The flashy winter graphic stayed. Only this time the text has the effect instead of the side. Guess Charlotte had it their way, as it's back to the 1980 style with some changes. The grid is the same style, but finally added a row number in the center of the 2 graphic boxes showing the driver and door number. On the top screen is the generic race title. Again, it's clean. Same rest of the field grid from 1980. Not digging it. No flagman box graphic, which is honestly nice. No need to do that crap at this. We'll just have a camera where you can show both the flagman and action. You know, a wide shot. Another copy paste from Charlotte. You know, the Pocono graphics was better. That's incredible. Why 4 again? Fortunately, it's more organized with the position number, car number, and full name. Much, much better. 3, 5, or 10, unless if it's Formula 1 6 at the time. Just saying. Here's NBC's attempt of showing 3 driver graphic names. Not bad. Fox nailed it with the Fox tracks in 2001, and it's a staple grab with today's telecast showing this many graphics. Nice try. Look at this mess. First of all, the DW text is too busy with the camera box that has white outlines. Give it some breathing room. Second of all, the driver text of Bobby Allison tells me that there's graphic inconsistencies. Pick one or the other, all caps or lowercase. Third of all, nice feature to show the difference between Waltrip and Allison, but it's way too big and the text is extremely out of style. That belongs in the 1960s, not in 1981. Wow, what a downgrade. The winner graphic had no flash. And with that, here's the final standings graphic. No scoreboards, and the sports world didn't air any NASCAR races in 1982, so let's move on to the second stint from 1983 to 1985. A brand new revamped graphics package arrived for the Talladega races. NBC's only races they did as CART was the main racing coverage. What? Okay, back on track. What grabbed my attention was the all-italic text with more details like Cale Yarborough's qualifying speed. Here's the super early concept, live video of the door number and driver portraits. Other than that, nothing special. The text found it straight out of the WTBS textbooks before WTBS did just a thing. By that point, it was TBS when they do it. Keep an eye on Phil Parsons in this race. He played a tumbling role into this one, which also reminds me the yellow-blue is fine, especially the text. Again, without the last names. But I appreciate the organized grid with the inside and outside indicators. That's Cecil, not Jeff. Nice. Other than that, nothing drastic on the driver info, but I do appreciate that the 3-driver graphic is clean instead of that clutter at Charlotte. See what I mean? White numbers and yellow names as usual. The returning graphic says Talladega 500, when it should say Winston, because Talladega 500 is the one that CBS does on an annual basis. I still don't know why they can't call it by its actual name. Is it because it's a tobacco product, or a thing national networks did not want to touch because it's not one of those brought to you by products? Either way, bullshit! The Flash is back for 83, good enough for the king. This is much better. Just give me the top 5. But again, nothing notable to point out. By this point, NBC's main mid-80s graphics were starting to go full effect, and to be honest, it finally gave the network a whole new identity. None of the basic text ones you get on Microsoft Word. This text meant NBC. Not WTBS, not CBS, not ESPN, not Ms. Lou, not even SETN, but NBC. Another common feature was finally introduced, the track details. This stuff matters, you know. Only thing that was taken out was the special grids. Just plain vanilla crap. Guess the highlight show didn't want to waste much time. This is the problem that we see today. But at least Paul Page acknowledged some of the rows. Horrible grid sequence out of all the sports world races to this point. You saw that? Bum rushing 101. It was 3 rows for the driver graphic, number on top, name in the middle with yellow text. At least that's what it looked like. In the position they're at, other than the big Sports World logo in cursive, same old shit that I've already said. 80s as fuck. Top 5 results were much bigger and very loud and clear compared to the small and slim ones. Here's another thing we never get today. Time of race, league changes, and average speed graphics. We just don't. Want to know where to find it? The internet. There's no footage from the NBC telecast for 1985, but the network will still cover some of the races from 86 to 98, mostly kart and sports car stuff. They only did specific races. With kart, they did both Toronto, like the drama of 89, but their main race, in my opinion, was the Meadowlands. Meanwhile, for IMSA, you had New Orleans. This right here, an all-time favorite graphic package that needs no explanation. It's mean, lean, and nostalgia. Why is that? Well, Fast forward to 1999, NASCAR announced a lucrative contract at both Fox Sports, NBC Sports, and at the time, TBS Sports were going to be the exclusive home for televised races beginning in 2001. However, NBC took the jumpstart. It showed the first 2 Winston Cup races ever held at Homestead, Miami Speedway, and they meant business. Epic intro, epic graphics, epic everything. Nothing like the CBS intros, though. Those are the mecca of hype videos of its time and arguably of all time. ESPN can dispute that as well. For the record, these cars flying across the background, it would stick around for the 2001 telecast, but it looks so Looney Tunes. I'm not kidding. I call it the Looney Tunes shot. Yep, he's here. He's there. Look at it. He's there. Or is he? It could be. Okay, it's a dead meme now. We should just leave that joke to rest for good. Can we agree? All right, move on. How did the graphics fare? It had a golden gray transparent background. The little oval was for the car numbers, and the text is fine by me. Got the info like one of the most forgotten posters of all time. He is a no top 10 club member. The NBC grid is a copy of ESPN with some differences. The driver portrait are in a circle on the left, alongside the cars that's facing towards the side instead of the nose. Underneath is the car number, name, and speed, with the bottom graphic showing the car make. For some reason, the Chevrolet logo is blue. Awkward. Fortunately, the race title is in full. All in all, only missing thing is the sponsor of the cars, which CBS were known for the show at this time period. Honestly, this is another underrated graphics package, and it only lasted for 2 years on the NASCAR side. A quick pop-up on the driver graphic. It says Ford in text. Instead of a fade, it's the pop-up with all important championship scenario graphics. We will never see that again, since the championship 4 is simple. It's only 4. However, it'll be nice in instances like race 26 and the cutoff races to know what's important. The number is super small with this graphic, but some quick stats if you're a fast reader. They need to show it a little bit longer. Oh yeah, the cute tiny NBC transition logo with the checker flag waving. At last, ticker time! The norm CBS, ESPN, TBS, and TNN did. Top 3. But it's bigger than the rest. The last remaining is huge, accompanied with the NBC logo inside the gold circle. You have the Olympics logo, since the 2000 Sydney Games was going to take place the following summer. Super common with NBC, by the way, to show the Olympic logo. There were no red or green up and down arrows. None of that. No detail as to what they're showing like these intervals either. I guess they felt it was getting to the point, since fans know what it is. Indie-style video clip about Cody Unser and Labonte. This is totally nice. You still see the action, but get the visual of how Bobby is off the track. Great comparison stats, which also brings me up to say, no driver portrait. Just text with NBC's technical third stint covering NASCAR. A nice pit summary that will become common ground today. It gets my vote. Top 6 standings. 2 per row. Not bad. What about pit stops? Just a timer, no driver name whatsoever on the top left screen. Therefore, there's nothing else to say. Okay, this Chevy graphic's a mess. It clashes with the ticker that's already big enough. Give it some breathing room at least, because it gets a down bow for me. Another instance of showing details, notably the number of points Rusty has to this point. Here's the top 10 standings. The starting position is on the far right, and the lap count on the very bottom. I would personally fix that graphic. It's the same intro with a different NBC logo that will be the main one for the upcoming run. Still think it's Looney Tunes shit. The car photos are the same as the ESPN ones. Other than that, same great graphic except the NBC NASCAR logo switch. This time around, the ticker is a lot smaller. Gone is the laps remaining all day, and hello, lap count. The car makes were now included in the ticker instead of just intervals like the 1999 race. They didn't state what is what either, but nice of them to add a new feature. It shall be noted that the margin is now in tenths instead of hundredths. The lap count will switch indeed like ESPN and TNN. I'm just showing you that the lap count is smaller. They've added the full driver name on the pit timer, a lot better and something that was unique compared to the other networks that went with just the last name. The restart indicator was on the top left instead of the bottom, and lo and behold, it's Andy Houston! Driver info on the bottom of the right side box. Dang nabbit, Ward. Just dang nabbit. Simple driver infographic during an accident. Number on the gold oval with full name. No portrait or number fonts. Remember, this is not 2001 yet. Prehistoric telemetry that's really tiny. Thin fonts all around and a brake indicator. This has been around, give or take, a decade in NASCAR, as ESPN have done this type of telemetry before. Fox were masters on that technology, as you'll find out soon when comparing them to NBC. Nice tagline for the pit summary. Not crazy with that big gap of nothing on the left. Not crazy about it at all. Nope, still didn't fix it. I understand why it wasn't necessary to add another row to indicate started. So don't jump on me. This is what the series is all about. Backcam in 2000. NBC, man, ahead of the game. The final lap graphics stayed the entire time. I would say it's pointless, but it does transition into the results graphics. But as you'll see with their major run, there will be no last lap graphic. Just the plain NBC NASCAR logo. Here's the results graphics. Nothing flashy, and it only showed 10. By the way, Casey Edward was good at this track, in case you needed a reminder. The graphic transitions were super fast, unfortunately. The point standings too were super slim. ESPN is another driver that's done it similarly, but I like the center graphic instead on the left. Bobby Labonte won his only Cup title, and while I still think that he should have made the move from Cup to Trucks after 2003 to go for the Triple Crown, it's hard to think that his prime ended not that long after. Not only that, it was a rough 2000 season for the entire sport. So going into the new season, and with a lucrative new TV deal, it was shaping out to be a phenomenal season. Well, we got that, but not what fans would have hoped. It so happens that NBC's first race of the 2001 championship trail would be Daytona. You know the rest.
NBC Sports presents NASCAR.
Right out of the gate, it's a brand new look. And the reason why David Burns' name graphic is that high, that's why. You get the starting grid graphic throughout the Countdown to Green segments, and in my opinion, it's the Discover card, Countdown to Green. None of that Bank of America pussy shit. Let me get back on track. It's super straightforward, the grid graphic. Fox Sports were also doing this, so what truly different was from them in 2001? Not that, but it's one of the different top 5 standing variations you use throughout the first generation graphics, but that wouldn't last all that much. Not that Andy Houston is going for the lead, but this. An upper horizontal graphic that only shows 3 at a time. But this is it. This is it. Actual number fonts. No flaws, no errors, the exact ones they read for this race. It wouldn't be until 2007 when Fox did this style. But for some reason, they stopped doing the actual number fonts that very same season, 2001. Since I've already explained the ticker on the TNT video, I'll focus on other nuggets that I didn't discuss and rehash some graphics that I said I do here. If you saw it quick, you saw the version of the speed track. There wasn't a Fox tracks for NBC at this point. And when they implemented it later this season, it's cringy. The laps remaining counter would later change, as it would be lap count until 50 to go, and the sponsor, like Budweiser, it would also later be moved on the top right screen. Fox 2 showed the product before the running order in 2001. Just the number, font, and last name of the driver, small pit time graphic like NBC's graphical predecessors. From time to time, they would have a speed check with just the number, font, and speed. Those little numbers indicate the top 5 fastest drivers based on how many crossed the line at a certain time period. I associate that feature with the NBC TNT run because it was common seeing that at the line data. Well, that sucks. Sums up his entire Cup career. But here's a driver graphic that was too short-lived, as it showed the full name, driver portrait, number, font, and car making tech. It would be reduced to a simple number, font, and full name. This is what I meant when I was talking about Andy Houston's name graphic. The one you saw here was the main driver graphic. Also, the caution and later restart graphic was a simple jelly bean with the lap of caution taking place. A forgotten graphic as a much cooler one would be instituted much later, notably in 2002. Why couldn't they reduce the graphic to just 3 instead of 10? Glad they were able to fix it, because it just gives me unnecessary thoughts of 50 cars being allowed to compete at Daytona, which will never happen, ever. Not in this era. It happened back then, but not anymore. On the top right screen, this was the NBC NASCAR logo that used at Daytona. And what you're seeing right now, during the Countdown to Green at the inaugural Tropicana 400, okay, big deal for some of you. But check what they went with during the race. The G-Funk logo. What? Hey, I was only a kid when I said that, but look down low. That was the introduction of the flashy flag logo, and of course, Andy Houston shite the bed. And right here is what I said moments ago with the driver graphic. Now back to that big ass logo. I found it ridiculous and way too big. Way too big that the logo would stick around for a couple of NBC races, including the Brickyard 400. Later on, as you'll find out shortly, they changed it for the absolute better. A short-lived top 3 graphic, super simple, and look at Top 09, a Cup Series bust. Here's what NBC brought to the table with their Will Against Race chase. So cheesy. Just a number font that hasn't aged well, with a mini graphic showing the position on top, font and name in the middle, and the speed on the bottom. They make some tweaks, hoping it'll be better, right? You'll see shortly. Here's an early graphic of the Busch Series results. Even then, just the top 5, but the numbers were in play text highlighted in yellow, and so were the car mix. Now that winner, he lucked out on that win. That dude isn't going to amount to anything, right?
And his name is Jimmy Johnson.
Only a green dot on the track map with this fine telemetry. If I recall, when I did TNT, their version allowed it wasn't all that great. Here's the pit graphic, just in time, and I shall state this. Only reason why it looks so weird on Rudd's time is because Harvick and Nadeau's go down. There's the graphic, but it still should have been lower for aesthetic purposes. There's your first of many pit road information in this episode. Here's your top. Fuck! The Ropacana 400? What happened to the T? I'll be back. Hey, look! Let's look at the graphic. It says Ropacana. Where's the T? Don't put the NBC logo. If you have the T, show the T. Otherwise, call the Ropacana.
Get the fuck out of here!
Fine. Fine.
They decided to go to a 4-tire change. Look at this. This is the right rear tire off of Todd's car.
Graphic department teams always find a way to botch everything. Hey, speaking of something, Wendy's doesn't sound bad right now. Also, sweet nostalgia, but it needs some in the background. Just saying. With 3, still looks weird, especially when it's struggling to stay with the cars. Look at the frames too. Still better than what ABC Sports were putting out for their IRL stint like in Indianapolis. I ranted about it on the TNT episode, by the way. Simple schedule graphics. Glad it was spiced up later. Thank you. This is much better. Fuel. I love that restart. Yep, that sums up Todd Bodines' Cup career. Carry the fuck on. Much better, much better. Good on you, NBC. Here at Indy, the number fonts were completely gone and was replaced with the Busch Series fonts, with every number having a blue background. The green dot on the telemetry changed to yellow. Shall be noted that in the middle, you see the brake feature and it fades in and out. None of that pop-up garbage. Also, the laps to go wasn't included. Now it's lap 10 of 160. As I said, with 50 to go, it would change. Not for this race, by the way, but eventually, it was definitely the case. Text all around for Houston in this small camera graphic. I'll get to it in Daytona 2002. Just wait. The number of fonts would only be shown outside of the ticker, but they were all correct. I don't know why they stopped in 2002. Laziness or time management being tight? Who knows? A better look of the running order graphic, and I do like it that way, but I get it. They want sponsors featured as much as possible, even though it sucks for those international viewers dealing with the censorship. Gordon's name has so much of a gap that it's annoying. What type of typewriter they use for this graphic, because it would be all over the place. Some were fine like Dale Jr., but for Gordon, it looks awful. Here's the traditional results graphic, as they were the ones who kept ESPN tradition. It would only show 10 at a time, but in this case, as the great one went on the win, they didn't bother showing it. It's a two-way street. Use it or don't. That simple.
Mike Skinner's picked up 1 spot on the start.
That's Robbie Gordon, you big dummy.
Mike Skinner, Robbie Gordon, that's right.
He'll be back to Mike next week in Michigan.
Then I'll be correct.
There you
Just
go.
a week early.
This was the first Cup race to have the iconic NBC NASCAR logo that would stick around all the way until the 2004 Daytona 500. Excellent decision, and it doesn't take up a lot of space. Here's another crack at it, and it looks bad. Instead of the speed on the driver graphic, it's the margin between the leader and those guys. The position has been included on the number font tracker. There's a brand spanking new schedule graphic. This is what I mean by flash. Stand out? No need to do some generic stuff. These are the things I applaud because they adapt over time to get a nice thing going, which NBC were really good at and continues to this day. NBC wouldn't do another race until Dover, and that too had a lot of significance. The first NASCAR race after 9/11 as seen by Ken Schrader's American flag car. With that also being said, the NBC NASCAR logo changed, featuring the American flag. Also, the third lap went from just being about Dale Earnhardt to he and all of those that were impacted by the tragic Tuesday, September 11th morning and afternoon. The actual number fonts came back, and also the NBC logo had the American flag. No checker flags for the remainder of 2001. A nice point battle graphic of where Gordon and Rudd were early on in this race. When I get to ESPN, I'll show you a perfect graphic on how to showcase a title battle. Why don't they show something like this either? Well, with the new graphic on both networks, that's certainly out of the question. Then again, this feature wasn't used as much like CBS were known for in the 80s and 90s. Either way, I'd like to know who, when, and how they retired from the race. The telemetry saw a huge upgrade as that big chunk underneath Harvick's name had nothing at first. Now it shows the position and on the right side the distance instead of a colored dot that shows where Harvick is running. Guess they learned their lessons from Watkins Glen. Still looks horrible, mostly because of the frames. And before you fret, I know it's 2001, but it just looks creepy. And we're not even done yet. As Dale Jr. crosses the line, here's the top 10 results graphic. Also, it omitted the Junior throughout 2001. And while he was the only Earnhardt on the grid, full times-wise, still leaves me puzzled on that decision. Johnny Benson, Ron Hornaday, and Ricky Stenhouse all have juniors in their names, but either never implemented it or later dropped it from being included in the graphics. For Dale, it was just 2001. Bored? No, really. Look at this error. How come they only did it for like one race and never again? Maybe because it looks silly, and rather than show it as a single entity without the aerial shot, the main graphics was a better option. Instead, the full number fonts were officially gone, and they went with the TNT route. Unlike Indy, the background colors match the driver's paint scheme, as I stated in the TNT episode. Remember when we knew how much they're making? Those were the days. Now, I know I basically covered every single graphic detail, so from 2002 to 2003, it's only going to be some stuff. So without further ado, let's move on to the Daytona 500 and finally discuss about a creepy graphic. The text on the driver's name was finally consistent, and I totally welcome it. Manufacturers were now included on the ticker. Still had the colored dots instead of the number font on the track map. Yeah, like that's any better. A big quotation cloud with the number font and driver portrait as Jeff Gordon is watching you. Now, with that nightmare feel out of the way, we got one more graphic that needs to be emphasized. But first, before Hailie Deegan, Shauna was the only female NASCAR driver to have won at that point, as she had 3 Goodies Dash victories from 1988 to 1989. There's a stat that people don't mention whatsoever, that I included in my article when I covered the race at Meridian last September, remember? And now, the following segment is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. This is a way better feel summary graphic. Wait a second. This isn't what I'm talking about. Hold on, let me put on the next clip.
Coming up on the 3/4 mark of the 44th Daytona 500.
Here we go. Check out that top 5 graphic. First, I gotta go take a break and go for a test drive. I'll be back in a second.
Well, we really like the styling and the personal safety system.
Oh, look out! Who's that? That's a bunch of them.
That's a bunch of them. Oh, my goodness. Bust us out there, Sammy. Back at Daytona, a massive accident down in turn.
So after that blast from the ass, I still think that graphic was way too big. Here's an updated Busch Series results graphic. The car make was now in white instead of yellow, and the generic number fonts were also included. Nice new pit graphic, and now the timers were on top except for smokes for some reason. It's not that damn hard to pull all 3 on top. At least the bottom is far better, and there was just too much black box instead of just text. Special Coke bottle caps with the correct number fonts except Bill Elliott's. Guess Ray Abraham didn't want his font included, but yes, that old top 5 graph from 2001 Pepsi 400 was used for more than one feature. Top right screen where the Kellogg's logo is, That's where their products were now featured. Also, Kenny Wallace's number is completely different because it's a different text. Squashed. As I stated on the TNT episode as well, new number or team, they got that font. If there's driver communications, there's a radio graphic. Nice touch, and something we don't see whatsoever anymore. Here's a rebound tracker with the text font once again being different and honestly looks worse than the one at Daytona. Gone were the dots and hello number fonts. The map saw an adjustment with yellow outlines indicating the walls. Now see kids, this was the last ever legit caution-free race. Sure, the Vegas race only saw stage cautions too to be exact, and the absolute minimum of a cup race can have today. Also, an excuse to show you the generic number fonts that from 2002 to 2006, we saw a lot of them. It went until the 2004 grid NBC used the absolute worst all time when it comes to generic number fonts. Still have a few things to show before the second generation graphics. Also stated on the TNT episode, the 7 font is Mike Wallace's from a year ago. All it did was change the color of the font and background to match Casey Atwood's. Still wrong. Starting in 2002, when a driver is spinning under green, it's indicated with a highlighted yellow text. If they're still on the track, it's white. They weren't the first ones to do something similar, as Formula 1 were doing this since 1994. The traditional yellow box would turn white, and the graphic says pit instead of the interval. I'd like to show you what I mean, but remember, it's Formula 1. Two more things from 2002. A slim top 5 graphic, thank God. Too bad that wasn't used all that much. Here's the main top 5 graphic they will stick with for the rest of the gen run. Nice. A super rare instance where the Busch Series ticker implemented background colors. The generics would stay, so no more regular fonts. Again, if it's all generic, it's fine by me. A flashy yellow light for the caution indicator instead of the flat color. Why? Guess the ticker needed some flair. I got nothing for this one other than why. They were on point in 2003, just the wrong background color and wrong number font for the 01, as is Jason Leffler's 01 font being shown. Other than those major nitpicks, the car make was underneath the car photos. Slim grid than the previous ones, and judging by these photos, all from Daytona. That would be a pain later on to just put every single car photo, take every one of them for different races every time. That's probably why they only do it for special paint schemes to save time. Far back. They never learned, didn't they? Cringe tracker. Like, seriously. This sticker is what I remember best, as it was my first year watching the sport. You had a much cleaner look, the throttle was now included instead of just brakes. Driver text font went from all caps to lowercase. Overall, it's a simpler look. As Frisky Nixon introduced, here's the singular race talk poll. This graphic was super crisp, and as you know, the questions were either hardcore or bollocks. If there's only 3 options, the last one will fill up the bottom row, unlike next year's graphic for this feature. They really need those polls back, seriously. When it comes to through the field, it's just number fonts and the distance, no more yellow outlines. To wrap up the first generation graphics that I really love a lot, far more than the upcoming generation graphics by a landslide, I only got one more graphic to show.
Home Depot Virtual Garage, it's all about air. Here we go. We're going to try to show you what it's all about. Here's one car going through the air. You can see the air coming over the back of the car. Kind of drops down over the spoiler. When you get another car come up behind you, that air goes over both cars. It takes the air off the rear spoiler of the front car, and it punches a big hole, and you got more momentum. You look at the guy on the inside, he's pushing all the air, where those other 2 cars are not pushing.
Still better than Fox 3D. You know what's also better?
This is the Discover Card Countdown to Green as we get ready to go racing.
One more thing for a great matchup, because I'll need all the optimism, because it's going to be hell for the next 3 seasons, especially the upcoming awful grid graphic. NASCAR! Excellent! What is world? What is world? 2004. What a great time to be a NASCAR fan. Only seeing references that the metallic days were gone, and Arrive was the unknown beast instrumental that's one of the most sought-after themes next to the 2002 and 2004 Daytona 500 theme. Fox had a nice second-gen ticker, an all-around great theme, albeit some didn't like it all that much. So what did NBC brought to the table? Well, this looks super promising. Much easier on the eye for the grid. This is promised. Okay, I like the nameplate, and they finally got the 48 font right, even though when I see it, I think of the Spider-Man 2 health bar. Love the driver text font, by the way. Screams action. Okay, blue backdrop for the pole award. I don't know why, but god The text font in Pope Black has not aged well in 2019. I don't know if it's the text looking super bland or they dropped the 3D animation. I mean, look at the Polo Award logo. It barely fits. Oh, God. If that's been watered down quite a lot, what about the... First of all, I can't even read the Dodge logo. Second, what's with the number fonts looking crooked? Can you just make them straight? Third of all, the Ford logo is so tiny that you need 3 magnifying glasses to read it. Okay, they got the part-timers number font included, cool beans. So yeah, the crew team names also got some love, even though a reminder would have been nice. Christ. It's a huge pet peeve of mine when the outside is shown on the left when it's meant to be on the right. The radio communication graphics saw an okay upgrade, but let's go deep into the field and discuss the ultimate elephant in the room, the back markers, and other part-timers not named Mike Bliss in the number 80. For the next few minutes, I'll show different grids. Okay, Fontana and Atlanta in particular. Okay, last year you had the actual number font for the 09, but the 51 gets one that has barely done shit at this point of the season. Oh, that's the generic font they use, by the way.
Come on, bro.
What's with the number 1 font? Why not use last year's as well? Cry me a fucking river. Remember Chad Blount? That's another driver that people have forgotten about. That's Jagger Jones' son, you know, the guy that Haley Deegan beat at Vegas. PJ's son is going places. Trust me. Here's the D&Q and moving to the back graphic. Just plain text. However, my big rip is why didn't it include car numbers for Bodine, Sachs, and Chalmerdine, who should be still considered for a NASCAR Hall of Fame ballot, goddammit. If he gets dropped, what makes me think Hermnab will ever get nominated? Carry on. Before we show more of that abomination of a starting grid, the race had a different ticker. This big-ass box with the NBC NASCAR logo on top, and on the bottom of the left count with the flag indicator next to it. All cars had a generic blue background to start off, but later we would adapt the actual color background based on a certain car. Tony Stewart would be orange, for example. The subject matter would be on top, and the text is in bold. Again, this is where you don't really need dozens of text variations. Looks awkward. I miss when telecasts took the time to tip a cap of certain crew members for a job well done. They even had clip art of the crew members roll on the right. Nice touch. Texts are not an all caps, which, Finally, a proper NBC tracks. No more cringe, no more cornballs. There was some first-gen graphics that stuck around, but it's okay. Now they show the background colors. Took them 24 laps. Boom, there's the caution graphic and driver graphic as well when they brought out a yellow. That's a mouthful. Number fun and easy to read car make inside the Spider-Man 2 health bar. Here's the stack graphic to show in this example. A driver's progress. At this moment, this was the norm and didn't bother me whatsoever. Here's the revamps through the field, but with the Spider-Man 2 health bar. Maybe a bit too much when showing a track map. At least the Dodge logo is easy to read on like the grid. The pit I saw an upgrade. The type was inside a green backdrop and it still only had the driver's last name and number font. There was no longer an indicator on the ticker to say who's bidding. Such a shame. It wouldn't be until now when we see just a thing. Thank God for the pylon graphics of NASCAR. Here's an early point standing graphic. I say it's too much space between the name and points, and also, why is Mark Martin's text different? The standings will later be included underneath the ticker. As you see inside of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s onboard, double screen was on the bottom left. The shape just looks weird at best, and the outline just doesn't have any shine that's meant to come out. On the bottom right side of the screen, they started adding those on-track graphics such as pit out and restart to name a few. Also, when pit reporters are talking about a driver, the Spider-Man 2 health bar pops up for a brief moment. At least the pit out graphics look good instead of being so fake. Here's the revamped Napa Field summaries. Still think we need those stats today. Nope. They're still gonna make it easier on the eye with those timers. They also include raw live up-to-date progress on the driver's stop as seen by the spots changing. This was super innovative and another feature that's underutilized. This looks like crap. Look at the singular logo. There's a thing called Magic Wands for that shit. Jeez, no wonder why Nixon wrote that description. And I fucking agree. It looks aesthetically stupid seeing 3 options. Speed at the line looked nice with the full speed up, but only top 3 instead of 5 were shown. It sure brought some intensity for the viewers, that's for sure. The grid graphic during the pre-race looked much better without taking up the entire screen. Even the Matt Yoakum graphic looked better as one row instead of two. Okay, sometimes this trio is super underrated. Okay, they have the 91 font, but still had some generic fonts on the grid though. The main NBC graphic was changed from the plain logo with the checker flag to now a somewhat trapezoid graphic with a big NASCAR logo included. Yeah, wise for the ticker to change because that was just unnecessary. The logo, lap count, and flag color were now one row with the running order down below. There would be a third row for stuff like speed and intervals and all that jazz. On the bottom right, you'll see a tracker between two drivers, just precision and number font like in previous editions. No Spider-Man 2 health bar on the track map. And even more flashy telemetry. What's there more to say? Not sure why they need the purple background on the RPMs. I don't know why, but maybe they just wanted something different than both RPMs and miles an hour being blue. Here's the standings I was talking about. Later on, they added car numbers, which to me was perfect. Sure, it takes them some space, but hey, I'd rather have these details than none of them at all back then. Now we see this underneath the ticker on the horizontal row. This caution has certain significance because it's the first ever green-white checkered in NASCAR's Cup Series. Look at the caution graphic. Boom! Instant. No more of that cut the graphic after caution comes out like it was from 2001 to 2003. Here's the results graphic. Still the top 10, and it shows the final lap times with the proper flag color. Not much to it, but by this point it's really straightforward. Now there's a reason why I showed Jeff Gordon winning, because it's time to show you more of that dreaded grid package. Keep a huge close eye on the generic fonts and its text. Rather than blow ahead cuts, just see it yourself and let stock audio tell you everything.
And here's a look at the starting lineup for tonight's race here in California. Vickers sharing the front row with Jeremy Mayfield, one of those drivers looking to get into the chase for the championship after next weekend's Richmond race.
Get the fuck out of here! Fourth, the last two California races, and Kurt Busch, the winner here in
Hey, what? Elliott Sadler's car was very good here in practice. He's going to be a guy you got to watch out for.
He's in ninth now.
What? Debut in the Cup Series, Nextel Cup Series, and another guy was running pretty good.
16
come on, damn it!
AJ Yaley, former USAC Triple Crown winner, driving for Joe Gibbs in his next.
Burt was second fastest in practice.
Shit, dicks, cocks, assholes.
We're set. Gonna try the ovals out. Robbie Gordon.
Raider back in row 20, 21. Jimmy Spencer, Jeff Fuller.
Fucking bullshit! At the very least, the car make logos were easier to read, like the Ford of Ricky Rudd. The driver text changed fonts by this point, and holy mother of D and Qs! This particular qualifying session that took place in that time period was the reason the top 35 was implemented. Okay, those highlighted in yellow were the chase for the Nextel Cup Series drivers of 2004. Great indicator that we still see to this very day. At least something has been cut in today's telecast. Well, I mean, they have to. Hendrick Motorsports ruined it. They killed that nice promotion. Here's a top 5 graphic of that battle that my guy, Jeff Gordon, and at the time, my least favorite driver, Jimmy Johnson, ran him out of the sport. Powerade, still better. Just say Powerade or Gatorade. Let me know in the comments. She plug out of the way. The black box for the time pitter. The black box for the... I like Gatorade, just saying, but I don't like Powerade. But still, put it in the comments. Okay, back to the script. The black box for the pit timer was long gone and replaced with yellow, but once again, well, that's lame. No more number fonts for the pit times graphic? Love this sequence, and my favorite schedule reminder graphic. It's the video, not the telecast. By this point in 2004, NBC had HD in their telecast that came into full swing in 2005. One last nugget before I glimpse through the 2005 and 2006 graphics real quick, since 1, I've already covered it on the TNT episode, and 2, not much changed than what I just showed you. When a driver takes the lead, a new leader graphic flashes on the screen, and the running order starts all over again. You've seen this battle already, but since I tend to show one great moment in every episode, here it is.
Carl Edwards to his outside.
15 cars there.
Carl just drives up on the outside of it.
Oh, this is getting busy here.
Oh, man. Wow.
Look at that, man.
Wow. How good is this?
That is cool.
I stated this already. Water down. Still think they should show a list of poll winners. At least Fox Sports did it in the Clash practice this year. Salute to them, because they finally did something right. Now this grid, ignoring the generic number fonts, much cleaner and simpler. No more cars featured, and again, the crew chiefs got some love. Still hate the outside being on the left though. Took them long enough to put car numbers for those that went home. In 2005, when it came close to race 26 at Richmond, still should be in my opinion. The indicator tells you everything what's up with these colors. Honestly, it may be a bit too much, but at the very least it tells us who's in so far, who has a shot, and those who are out because
I absolutely suck!
Onboard graphic on the bottom right. These days, it's not featured since it's not necessary. And to be frank, it's kind of useless if you ask me. Maybe it's for the casuals who the sport were trying to get and ultimately failed. Another feature that was crucial at the time, it tells us how far they're ahead of 11th, and in the next graphic, who are still in the hunt. These days, it's no longer in use because of the win and you're in concept and unpredictable nature of anyone inside the top 30 can win out of nowhere. And let's be real, that's not gonna happen where some guy in 29th in points will win. Not with today's package. Sorry, Matt Tiff, or whoever is really 29th in the points. It's not going to happen. The last major change on the second-gen graphics is when the race is over, or in this case, a red flag. The running order is shown on the bottom screen instead of the top. Nice spice into an otherwise okay graphic pack. Overall, I still prefer the first gen from 2001-2003, even the 1999-2000 graphics, because it had some nice flow. No corny stuff, no inaccuracies. It would have been interesting to see how the graphics would have been in 2007 had NBC stuck around to cover NASCAR, but it didn't do the Sunday Night Football. So from 2007 until 2014, NBC NASCAR went away as Fox, TNT, and ESPN came on swinging in 2007. NBC would have Champ Car in 2007, and honestly, it would have been the same package that the NFL were using as seen here. I don't think number fonts would have been a factor when showing driver graphics, but I must say, it's not terrible. I think it would have looked cool. Before 2015, NBC Sports were slowly becoming the best motorsports telecast with Formula One's top-tier panache broadcasters. Check out part 2 of my Speed Channel episode for more. And of course, IndyCar, who have since taken the top spot for the best motorsports broadcast in America, outside of some production botches at Sonoma and St. Petersburg, of course. So when NASCAR came along, it ushered in, and I'm being honest, the start of modern day motorsports greatness. Stay tuned for part 2, solely focusing on the current run, which should come out in the next month or so. For now, I'll end part 1 with this clip.
インディアナポリスモータースピードウェイ、通称ブリックヤードでのシリーズ第21戦ブリックヤード400。